I'm sorry, I'm getting a terrible Charlie horse. I'm not going to be able to hold still in a way that satisfies you.
So why don't you sit down? No one made you stand up.
I like to stand up. Good morning, De Niro Nation, and welcome to Our Hero De Niro. I'm Mike, here with my co-host Mike.
Ciao.
And, I love that. That's so apropos.
I forgot if that was hello or goodbye. Or is it both in Italian?
I think the great news is I think it's both.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yep. And we are here to discuss James Goldstone's 1971 film, The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. And Mike, what a film it was.
God help us. Yeah, I certainly would. I certainly would say.
Yeah. This movie is all of, I think, 96 minutes long, and I had to split it into two sittings because after 45 minutes, I was so bored that I had to go do something else. Hey, this is truly like one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in my life, and it felt 3 hours long in spite of being so short.
I powered through in one sitting, and, I don't recommend that as the ideal way to watch this film. I don't know if there is an ideal way. But I suppose we'll get into it as we discuss it.
Sure. So let's just jump right into it. So a little bit of, I think, like context about what this film is, right? Because I think like just contextually, as I describe it, if I'm too literal, I think it might be a little bit unclear like what this is like. So this is a mafia movie, but not really. It's actually kind of like a slapstick comedy, and it's a bad slapstick comedy, and it's sort of unclear to me what it's trying to do. So I know it's supposed to be a satire, but I'm kind of confused about what it's supposed to be satirizing. Do you understand what the subject of the satire is here?
No, not really, because this, for additional context, this is based on a novel that came out in 1969 that, from what little information I was able to gather online, is supposedly good and funny. So something was clearly lost in translation into making it into a film. And this is, it's like, you're right, it's like a slapstick comedy mafia film. It's like a spoof of mafia films, but it came out before The Godfather.
Right, like at the beginning,
like the defining.
That's what I don't understand is like what's it satirizing? Like there wasn't like a movement of mafia films for it to satirize. So what it actually reads to me as satirizing, and like maybe this is a little too Pollyannish of me, but like it feels like it's satirizing Italian culture in a very racist way. Like it's like, so there wasn't like really any fiction for it to like satirize, but it's like making fun of Italians. And so like, I don't know, to me it just read as like pretty racist. I don't know. What was your feeling about that? About all the anti-Italian stuff in the film?
I'll tell you what it is. It's anti-Italian discrimination.
I didn't view it as racist. There is some overt racism in the film that I noticed, but what do I want to say about this fucking movie? Listen. I think you should just get into
done,
it.
So you know, like I can do the recap in about 10 minutes. So. All right, well, let's just get right into the recap, and we'll see kind of how we cover it. And it peaks early. The best part of the movie actually happens in about the first minute. So the opening is this weird cartoon that's playing, and it has like some funky music playing in the background. And the high point of the film comes, I think it's probably 15 or 20 seconds in. We see a cartoon caricature of Robert De Niro. For me, that was the high point. I was like, okay, this is a really funny caricature of him. I bet you this is gonna be good. Another good thing about it is Robert De Niro's in it a lot. This is a big screen time Robert De Niro performance. It's fun. It's a fun performance.
That's true. You know, when I was taking my notes on this, and I deeply resent the fact that I took 1,000 words of notes on this film. But it has a reputation for being a box office bomb. It was pretty critically poorly received. And so when I was taking my notes, I wrote under that intro sequence, I wonder if this will be the best part. And boy, oh boy, Oberto, was it ever?
What was it ever? Yep. So the movie opens after that opening cartoon plays, and I found the opening very confusing. I think I was able to put together what was happening through later context. So here's what I wrote in my notes, and then I'll say what I think actually was happening. Mm-hmm. So it opens up, and you got an old mob boss sitting, and he's having breakfast with his wife at their kitchen table, and it's a big, I don't know, probably 4,000, 5,000 square foot, like very opulent house. And at the end of breakfast, she goes outside and gets in the car and kind of squinches, you know, like as she turns over the engine because she's afraid there's a car bomb in the car. And so when I saw this, I was like, is he trying to kill his wife with the car bomb? But it actually, I think it becomes kind of clear, both in that scene and especially later on in the film, and we'll talk all about the ending, that she's actually testing to see if there's a car bomb for him before he comes outside. But like, why? Like, it seems like a very inefficient way to do that. Like, why wouldn't you have like a goon do that? Why would you have your wife be the one who like might get blown up by the car bomb?
Right.
Am I reading this correctly?
She's one of the highest value people. You know, she's one of the
Right.
people you really
Even
wouldn't
if he
want to be
doesn't
blown
love
up
her.
by a car bomb.
Like, I don't know. She's like the boss's wife. Like, she would be like one of the main people you'd want to keep alive. Like, he's probably got all kinds of unimportant henchmen who could be the ones doing this. It's so stupid.
And it's cluing you into how like overtly slapstick the tone is going to be. It's so cartoonish because she's like, she's what'd you say, squinching?
Yeah, she's like,
Oh, okay,
you
yeah.
can't see me, but I'm,
Yeah,
she's
he's doing
scrunched her
a
face
whole
up into
thing.
like
He's
a
doing a
tiny
whole
little
thing.
part of her, tiny little part of her head.
And the man, he like gets under his table like he's doing a nuclear bomb drill, and putting his covering his ears with his hands, and it's just very cartoonish, and it just only becomes more so from there. But I agree, it doesn't make a ton of sense now, does it?
Yep. So anyway, that happens. And so this guy's name is Bacala. I don't know, like, can't remember like how this is all introduced, but at some point over the first 10 minutes, the general structure of everything that's happening is introduced. So you've got Bacala. He's this like big mob boss. He works out of Brooklyn. He runs like a shipping outfit and some kind of other illicit stuff that he does. The details are not important to the story. And he's got some capos who work for him. One of whom is this guy named Sally Palumbo, who's kind of like our, I guess, a sensible hero in air quotes of the film. And then he's got an underboss who's this old dude, and it's really not that important. His name's in my notes somewhere. We'll come to it. So there's this guy, and he is always praying to Saint Anthony, which is something that continually happens throughout the film. So all that stuff is introduced. And then we go to a kind of poor looking tenement house, like a little apartment. And there's a guy, a young to middle-aged man. Character's probably supposed to be in his late 20s or early 30s.
Yeah, people aged differently back then. So I had a hard time telling. The protagonist is played by Jerry Orbach. And I mean, he's been old for as long as we've been alive, being on Law and Order.
He wasn't old then, though.
Right,
but he definitely looks
still,
a lot older.
Right,
then.
I was like, oh, is he supposed to be like 40 because his nickname is Kid Sal? But I don't think he's supposed to be 40. Also, let me just say, all this shit in the first 10 minutes is introduced via news position, and I hate that shit. It's so lazy. They're trying to adapt a novel, and they can't think of like a good way to introduce all this shit, so they just do it through like talking head just for the first 10 minutes. It's so boring.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. I think that he is probably supposed to be in his late 20s or early 30s. I will say, like, I think that, him being called Kid Sally does not indicate anything about his age. Like, I think that in this culture, he'll be called Kid Sally until he dies. Like, they'll still call him Kid Sally when he's an old man. So, like, I don't think that indicates anything about his character. I think his nickname is just Kid Sally. He's not going to age out of it.
I would hope that when you have enough authority within the mob organization, you could alter that nickname. I think about like rappers, and there used to be Young Jeezy. Yeah. But now he's just Jeezy. Because he grew up. He's not young anymore. Young with no O, of course, but he's not young anymore.
I'm not sure. There obviously are, a lot of cultural ties between, those two subcultures, right? Like rap subculture and Italian mobster subculture.
Oh, they love it. Yeah.
Mafioso
rap.
Yeah, I think there are plenty of examples of Italian mobsters who have had those kinds of cute diminutive names like until the end of their lives, and it's just a part of things. Like, I think he's Kid Sally forever. Like, I don't think it's necessarily something he's going to age out of. And maybe he would choose, if he could, to get out of it. But if he's just a capo until he dies, like, I think he'll always be Kid Sally.
Yeah.
Even though he's like an old man.
I don't have an answer for this, but I do wonder what our fun mob nicknames would be if we were, made men, if we were in the organization. I really would not want a cutesy name like that.
Why don't you guys write in to ourherodeniro@gmail.com and tell us what you think our cute mob nicknames would be.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Email us and let us know. You people have been looking for reasons to email us, but you're too afraid to.
So in this house, we got Kid Sally Palumbo. We got his sister, Angela. Who's she played by?
You know what's funny about the Angela character, by the way? I don't know why, but in my notes for a long time, I was writing her down as Melissa, and I don't know where I got that from. That's like a classic Mike back at you, like misunderstanding of the movie. But she is played by Leigh or Lee. What is it when it's Leigh?
Probably Lee.
That's wacky.
Probably Lee, I think,
Lee Taylor Young, played by Lee Taylor Young. I say spell it L-E
Beautiful
or
lady.
L-I. Make it easier for me.
So anyway, yeah, she lives there too, and they live with their grandmother, whose name I cannot remember. It doesn't matter. She's like the matriarch of the family. Totally,
I never knew
what her name is.
Yep.
She is a pretty important character, but anyway. So Palumbo, Kid Sally, he's one of Bacala's capos, and there's some lieutenants who work for him, and one of them is a very famous little person actor whose name I can't remember. You know what that actor's name is? This was his first movie.
The problem here is that he's a French actor, and so I'm going to completely fuck his name up, but it's like Hervé Villechaize. He played Tattoo in Fantasy Island.
Yes. Is little person the right nomenclature? Is that the sensitive way to say it?
You know what's interesting? Because
I want to make sure we're saying that right.
I think that is the right nomenclature. But you know what's interesting? Okay. I actually read his Wikipedia page after watching this film because his voice was so obviously overdubbed with what few lines he had. So I was French, read his page, and saw that apparently he was criticized by like a fellow little person actor because he preferred the term midget to dwarf. I was like, wow, even back in the like early 70s, you know? Some
getting canceled.
Dissent, yeah. You can't say that.
I guess dwarf is also an appropriate term.
I think we're doing little person now.
Little person is the one now? Okay. Just want to make sure we do it right. I don't think I'm ever going to talk about him again in a way that's substantive, but just in case I do. So anyway, there's a scene of them in the apartment, and there's only one thing that happened in the scene that I thought was interesting. So Angela has a carton of milk, and she goes to pour the milk into a glass. The glass is not visible behind whatever's obscuring it, so you can't see the milk actually being poured from the carton into the glass. And she pours the carton in a way that is nonsense. Did you notice this?
Not at all. It didn't make
like
my
a
notes.
Standard,
didn't even notice
like,
it.
It's like a standard old timey carton of milk, but she opens it, but she pours it to the side. And I think that if you did that, the milk would just splatter everywhere. And so what I think happened was she wasn't actually pouring the milk. I think the glass must have just have already been full behind, which makes a lot more sense from like a
movie magic.
Why would they? Right. Like, but it's like, has she never poured milk before? Like she didn't want to do it in the way that a human being actually would if there was milk in the carton?
They might have done it differently in the 70s, man.
We need to get Mythbusters in here.
Yeah, we do.
I think it would just splatter everywhere. Like, I don't think you could pour it like that. I think it would splatter everywhere.
Interesting.
I don't know. Let's try it out.
Let's do the Our Hero De Niro milk pouring challenge.
Yeah.
Record yourself, listeners, recording, pouring milk in that weird way, and then send it to us at ourherodeniro@gmail.com. We'll pick the winners, and the lucky winner.
The YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll put it on the YouTube channel, and we'll give you a gift card for one carton of milk at your local grocery store.
So there's the scene of them at the apartment. Nothing is really important. And then Sally leaves, and he and his crew go to meet with Bacala. And the meeting they're having with him is just them basically expressing frustration with how little of the money that Bacala is taking in is being kicked down to the captains and to their troops because they're the ones who are out in the streets taking all the risk. And so Bacala, he's pretty receptive to this complaint. And so he gives Sally oversight of some kind of 6-day bicycle race. The mechanics of this bicycle race make no sense to me at all. So I'm excited to like talk about this and like see if this makes any sense to you.
Yeah, like I'm going to be able to help.
Bicycle race. Yep, they're having this bicycle race, and so they're flying in a bunch of cyclists from overseas, seemingly many of whom are from Italy. And so Bacala's got some leadership or like sponsorship role or something over this race, and so he puts Palumbo in charge of it. He's praised to St. Anthony in this scene, and he tells him that he's given Sally one last chance, and then that's all. So that's it. It's a curtains for Sally if he doesn't handle this bicycle race well. So, oh man, God, I forgot all about this. Terrible slapstick joke in the next scene that we're going to talk about. So in the next scene, they're at the warehouse where they're setting up the track for the bicycle race, and there's a bit character there, and he has the plans for the track stuck to his hands, and he says in kind of like an old-timey accent, "I keep forgetting to oil myself." And I wrote just Jesus fucking Christ to that joke. And so they're setting up the track for the race. And God, I hate the humor in this movie so much.
Did you explain the joke?
What do you mean? I don't understand the joke. Isn't that
Yeah.
the joke? It's just like he has his hands are sticky because he didn't oil them.
Right, because he has a prosthetic arm.
I didn't even notice that.
You didn't notice the early 70s? It's not like 2025 where they're like making them flesh colored and looking like real human hands.
I didn't notice.
You get oh my God, no, yeah, but he had a rusty, I wrote in my notes, vet with rusty prosthetic arm. Is that funny? That's the level of comedy that we're at here in this film.
I mean, I agree. That makes it even less funny than I thought it was. Yeah, it's like it makes the joke make more sense, but it makes it less funny. That's awesome.
Mike watched this movie blindfolded. Extra hard mode.
God, I wish. So at the airport, next scene, the cyclists are arriving, and we get our first Robert De Niro sighting. And when is it, Mike?
I think, it depends on where you want to put it. I said 11:17, 11 minutes, 17 seconds.
It's interesting. I put 11:24.
Well, there you
Do
go.
you see the
yeah.
back of his head maybe at 11:17?
Yeah, I think it was just when we first spot him at a
Gotcha,
distance.
okay.
But you're right.
Yep.
Maybe face is the better metric here.
Yep. So Robert De Niro is one of the cyclists. He plays a guy named Mario Trantino. It's Trantino, right? That's his last name? I don't think I ever wrote the last name down. Mario Trantino. So Sally and his goons, they arrive at the airport to receive these guys, and Mario goes to his hotel room, and he's got $100. He tries to give it to the bellhop at the hotel and asks him to break it, give him change, and the bellhop's like, no, I can't do that. It's a $100 bill, because $100 was like $1,000.
A lot of money back then, yeah.
Right? Like, it was like a lot of money. I mean, to give somebody $1,000 bill.
Can you break 1,000 for me?
Yeah, can you break 1,000? So I guess this is supposed to be funny. I don't really understand this joke though. He's got a Playboy in the pocket of his jacket. He's got a bunch of candy. Immediately upon getting in the hotel, he starts stealing the towels. He calls the operator because he's got to make a phone call, and he just asks her to dial a number, and she argues and says you can dial that number yourself, and he lies and says that he's blind, so she dials the number for him. So like we're establishing very early that like this Mario Trentino guy, he's kind of a fucking weirdo. Like he's a little bit of a scumbag.
He's like a weird Italian kleptomaniac.
Right. Yep. So we cut over to Sally. He's at home and he's taking a nap, and the grandma is warning him about concerns about him being robbed. I'm not really sure like what the point is of this line. I wrote it down because I was waiting for it to come up later, like for somebody to rob him in a way that was meaningful to the plot, but like it never happens, right? So
was that
for them to have this
no?
conversation?
I have no fucking idea. But was that lady supposed to be the grandma or the mom?
It's a grandma.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah,
Okay.
it said in the text.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Oh, and
I was writing mom for the first part, and then I went back and corrected it when eventually they do say in the text of the script
okay.
that she's
Because
the
again,
grandma.
Jerry Orbach looks middle aged in this film. So it really threw everything off for me. I was like, why is he still living at home with his mom and college aged sister? This makes more sense.
I don't know. I mean, the fact that his sister is college age, I think also supports that. I think he's supposed to be like 26 years old.
Gotcha.
So his sister's there. She's looking for her chocolate bar, and she accuses Sally of stealing her chocolate bar. And he says, I wouldn't steal a chocolate bar. Again, don't understand what the point of that is. So then Sally goes with his crew. He's looking to buy a cage. I think this is meant to be something to do with the race, like some attraction, but still, like, at every point in this movie, I don't understand what's going on. So like, if you have context to explain, please do.
No, I don't get the joke with that, because when the race starts, we see that the racers are starting from within these cages, these like animal cages. And I don't understand what's supposed to be like what the punchline is there. What's supposed to be funny about that? It just makes the mob seem really weird.
Yeah. Well, it is a weird mob in this movie. So they go, they're trying to buy this cage, and there's only one cage that is the suitable size that they want, but the cage has a lion in it. And the vendor who's selling the cages says that cage is only for sale if you take the lion. So they buy the lion. There's lots of really terrible slapstick with the lion. And then Palumbo goes upstairs. And something about the kind of the physical space of the movie. So Sally and his sister and their grandmother, they live in an upstairs apartment. And then there's like a storefront down in the kind of half basement level of this row house. And this is the storefront out of which Sally and his crew work. So like he's always going like up and down stairs, and like the sister is always going up and down stairs between like the place where they live upstairs and the place where the mobsters work downstairs.
Let me just say, let me just say some thoughts about this lion situation. because this was a film from 1971. I'm just not sure how much you're going to talk about the lion in the future, even though it is pretty.
We're going to talk a lot about the lion. The lion is the most important thing about the movie.
I'll start with one thought, which is there any way you would ever act with a live lion? Because I don't think I would. I don't care how much they sedate that thing.
70s?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, but I don't know. It must have been a really well-trained lion, right?
Or it was just really doped up. Who knows? I would not put my hand anywhere near that thing's mouth.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think there's a lot of stuff. I mostly thought about that in the context of the characters in the movie, not the actual human beings acting who were with the real living lion. But like all the stuff with the lion just made me hate these characters so much more.
Oh, absolutely.
And it just made me think like all of these people deserve to die. Like they're like so stupid. Why would you have a lion? It's so dumb. We're talking about the lion a lot.
It's comedy, Mike.
Yeah, so funny. Yep. So Sally has an argument with his sister. He wants her to come to some kind of party or reception or something to do with the bike race. And she tells him that there's a sponsor of the bike race who is embarrassed about something to do with Sally and doesn't want to be seen with him. And the grandmother argues with her and tells her that she has to go to the party with Sally to support him. And hopefully she'll meet a nice Italian boy. So the next scene, we can all tell where this is going, right? So the next scene is at the bike race party. And Mario, Robert De Niro, is there. He's acting very strange. Angela is also there, and she is entranced with Mario's weirdness. I mean, we're talking, this is like, 1970, 1971 Robert De Niro. He's very handsome.
Sure.
He's weird.
Yeah, he's really getting by on his boyish good looks here because his character is an incredibly unappealing person. He's like, he's either broke or like pathologically cheap. He is a kleptomaniac. He makes this woman, what's her name? Angela, pay for everything.
Angela.
And it's
Melissa.
like, you got to have a little self-respect, woman. You're an attractive woman in college. Meet like an American man who will not make you like pay for his subway fare. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. He's not an appealing guy. So the party ends. Angela and Mario go to get pizza. Then they get ice cream. And she remarks to him that if he wins the bike race, maybe that will make him special enough that he'll be able to emigrate to America. And she goes home. But at the end of the night, she tells Mario that she's going to come to watch him in the race tomorrow. So something kind of weird happens here. It happens twice and then it never happens again. A title card pops up describing the fact that the race is starting. And then like maybe 5 minutes later, another title card pops up and it says, I don't know if I wrote it down, but anyway,
wouldn't it just be in your notes right there, like next up?
But and then a few minutes later, another title card pops up, and it has like a quote that someone is saying.
I can tell you. I can tell you what they say,
as though it's a silent movie. Yeah, what did it say?
So the first card says, "And so Kid Sally stages his bike race in South Brooklyn." And then you're right. Like 5 minutes later, there's another card that says, "But did Sally do the right thing?"
Yeah, man, what a film.
And you're right, like, why are they in there?
Yeah. So, yeah, that all happens. And so there's a scene of, to your earlier comment, them putting the cyclists in the cages before the other weird title card pops up. And it just appears very obviously.
They have them run into the cages like there's some sort of time element to it. And I literally wrote in my notes, what's the joke here? Like, am I misunderstanding? Is this like some sort of critique of the professional cycling world or something? Like, what am I missing? It's not funny.
I don't know. I wish that there would have been a longer Wikipedia article for this page because these things, good or bad, all probably have explanations that like somebody knows. And it would be nice to know, like to have the cultural context or like the literary or cinematic, cinematographic, filmic, however you describe that context, whatever context in which we should understand the jokes in this movie. Like, we clearly don't have it. So, like, I don't think the movie's funny, but, like, moreover, I don't even get, like, 2/3 of the jokes. Like, I don't understand, like, what the joke is supposed to be. So it really is, like, it was an incredible experience watching this film, 54 years after it came out. The culture has changed so much in those 54 years. So, things were not set up properly for the race, and they need to delay it. and Bacala's really pissed. Everybody else is pissed. Sally rides off on one of the bicycles, and there's a very funny slapstick crash. Really funny stuff. And in the next scene, Sally's there and he's being reprimanded by Bacala, and Bacala demotes him to be his private chauffeur. So now we've kind of set it up. So this is the setup for the story. Like now, nothing has happened really matters, I think, to like what the central plot of the film is. That was all exposition. So now we are moving into the actual story, in air quotes, of this movie. So now Angela and Mario, they've got kind of a budding romance. And Angelo goes to meet him at his hotel. He's checking out. With the delay of the race, he needs to stay longer, but for whatever reason, like funding is dried up for his stay at the hotel or whatever. They need a deposit from him to stay, and he can't afford it, so he needs to go find somewhere else to sleep. Angela helps him find this like disgusting, ratty apartment to stay in while he waits for the race to happen. I wrote down this apartment probably costs $3,000 a month now, but I'm guessing it costs like $1 a month.
Yeah, it looks
right?
so shitty. It looks like a terrible place.
It's really funny watching this movie.
What?
It's really funny watching this movie and thinking about like all the prejudices that like boomers and like people of our parents' age have about New York City. And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, this was what it was like when they were kids. So it kind of makes sense that they have those prejudices. Like, it's like Brooklyn was like a shithole. And now it's like one of the nicest places on planet Earth. But like, it wasn't the way it was 50 years ago.
I did appreciate seeing like either they constructed a very grimy looking set or like shot in a very like shitty apartment. And it just looks so terrible and gross. You'd hate to be in there. Nowadays, they would shoot that on the volume. You know, they would just have like 2 actors in some giant like green screen warehouse and try to act like it's the best thing ever, even though it looks like ass. So, it is fun watching an early 70s film for that reason alone.
Yeah, I love movies from the 70s. Yeah, sure. Not this one, but, sure. So Angela's leaving, and he asks her for a dime to make a phone call. To your earlier comment about like him just never having any money to spend on anything. So now we find the guy's name, right? I mentioned earlier that Bacala has an underboss. So the underboss's name is Water Buffalo, and he's like an older gentleman who's like a businessman. And I love your face. You're making about this. Clearly you didn't clock this character at all, but like he is an important character, and like his presence is important to the plot. It's always so amazing to me, like what you miss.
I knew. Okay, listen, because he's played by Frank Campanella. I knew he was an important character. I did notice him throughout the film. Listen, it was very hard to pay attention to this film, and I was taking notes the entire time. So, like, this one's not on me, De Niro Nation. I thought that Water Buffalo was Bacala's nickname, and I thought he was just interchangeably referred to as Bacala or Water Buffalo. Again, your mob
Different
nickname.
Guys.
You get a mob nickname.
Yep.
Big Puss. That'd be a really fun one to have, honestly.
Bacala is Bacala's nickname. That's not his real name.
We don't know that. Well, it'd be Bacalari, right?
No, like so many things. It's
what are you talking
said in
about?
the text.
Did it really?
Yep. Pull on Bacala. Oh, maybe it doesn't say it on the Wikipedia
Fake
page.
News.
But yeah, it's definitely said in the script. Like, and I know I didn't write it down because I didn't care. But there is a news position scene where they say like, person's Italian name, aka Bacala. Like Bacala is also a mob nickname for him. So anyway, they're back at they're at Sally's house. They're talking about killing Water Buffalo. It cuts to the next scene, and they're trying to do it. They inadvertently shoot out one of his tires, or maybe they purposefully shoot out one of his tires. Doesn't really matter. They follow him. They
put a nail on the side of his car.
They put a nail on the side of his car. Okay, sure. You can tell I was paying very close attention. And then they let him get away, but pretend to shoot him. I think like. Did they let him get away, or were they not able to catch him? But they pretend to shoot him. Like
they fucked up. They because they tried to put a nail in the tire, and they missed they like had a freaking like rifle. They were ready to JFK this guy. Yep. No disrespect, and they missed their chance because he's kind of like walking alongside like a mother with like a stroller, and so they missed that chance, and then they have to follow him until his tire deflates.
Wow. Beautiful stuff. They pretend to shoot him, and then they come back and tell Sally that he's dead, and their intent is to go out after him again later that night. But then the newspapers, like the evening edition of the newspaper, prints, and there's nothing about the murder in there. And like, of course, there would be something about the murder if there was a murder, at least buried, on some of the less important pages. And so their lie is found out. Water Buffalo comes back. And he runs one of them down with his car. The other one jumps into one gutter, kind of like one of those like sewer gutters, like on a sidewalk. And the guy who got run down by the car is dead. And there's a funeral for him in the next scene. And all the ladies in the family are very upset about this guy having died. So we cut back to Mario, and he's trying to buy a priest's robes, seemingly so he can impersonate a priest. And he has a scene with the tailor who makes the priest robes, where he's trying to say like that they're for a priest he knows, like I think his brother or something like that. And he tells the tailor that he'll take the robes to his brother, the priest. And the tailor says, no, there's a big problem with people impersonating priests. So I have a policy that I only send them directly to the diocese, so they can be picked up by the priest.
Do you think this was a real thing at any point in like the 70s or 60s, that there was a problem with people impersonating priests?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Why would you
look it up? I don't know. It's easy to get people to give you money, right?
Oh, I get. You're just like walking around
I think
downtown,
that
like
if you're like an untrustworthy person, I think that throughout all of society, like basically no matter what someone's religion or cultural background is, like we all trust like priests, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I only think of priests asking for money like during church. It'd be so weird if one was just like, I guess De Niro does do this at multiple points in the movie. He does just ask for money for some like fundraiser or something. For
a fictitious orphan he's supposedly sponsoring. I think that it's just it's a way of signaling trustworthiness.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it would be like, it's the same reason why we obviously have it, have a lot of protections against people impersonating police officers, because it's just like wearing a police officer's uniform signals that you are like part of an organization that the modal person finds trustworthy. So, you don't want somebody who is not a part of that organization to be able to signal to others that they are. Probably, right? So Mario goes back to his apartment. Angela comes over and visits him, and invites him out to eat Chinese food. And another like classic Mario moment. He's just sitting on the couch, like reading a magazine when she comes to the door. And as soon as she knocks, he like gets down on the ground and starts pretending to do push-ups so that when she walks in, she'll find him doing push-ups on the ground. Robert De Niro is good in this movie.
He's good in this movie, and it's damning with faint praise that, his character is the most likable character in this film, I think, right? Like,
absolutely.
That's kind of sad.
Character in this
right? Because earlier you mentioned that Kid Sal is the protagonist, but he's a really unlikable guy. And I'm okay with films that have like unlikable protagonists or like, protagonists that are bad people, but there's like really nothing charming about him. He's power hungry. He's mean. He's in the fucking mob. He's like abusive to his sister, who's like just a very nice, studious young woman. And so as I watched the film, I was thinking, am I supposed to be rooting for Kid Sal? Because Bacala seems fine. Like compared, I don't know.
The big thing about him that makes him a bad, like uncompelling character. He's also stupid. He's also really bad at everything he does.
I was going to say
the things that you just described. Like you could be describing like Tony Soprano, but like the thing that makes it work when it's Tony Soprano is that Tony Soprano is like really smart and really charismatic. So it's like, he's evil and violent and he does like reprehensible things, but you're like happy to watch him because it's like watching somebody who's like really good at what they're doing bad things. But it's like, Sally's totally fucking inept. Like nothing he does works well, like ever. He fails
it's a bad
literally
combo.
Everything he attempts for the entire story. And he's also violent and mean. And
I thought you were going to say that the thing that I forgot was that he's abusing a lion for the duration of the film.
Oh yeah.
But we'll talk more about that. Don't worry.
We'll talk more about the lion abuse kind of as we get on. The thing about the lion abuse too is like it's a real lion.
Oh yeah. They'd CGI
so like it's
that
not like
nowadays.
They're just fictionally abusing the lion. Like the people making this film were actually abusing this lion in the filming of the film. Like this would not fly today. But would it even have flown in the early 70s? Like I don't know. This movie was panned. Rightfully so. They're at the Chinese restaurant, Angela and Mario, and Mario tells her that he plans to stay in America, and she's really happy about that. So she's falling for him. So we cut to Sally. He's at a construction site, and they are setting up a bomb hidden under a manhole cover because Bacala's car is going to drive over this manhole cover, and they're going to explode the bomb using a shortwave radio detonator while the car is over it. Love this scene, by the way. Like, it's like, this is, of all the dumb things in the movie, like, this might be the dumbest. The scene is so stupid. And so this was the thing, right? I don't think it really is a thing very, like, so much anymore. But in this time, it was common to trigger explosives using just like a standard shortwave radio signal. And so they're setting this all up, and they have like a bomb technician there, and there's a sign up, like a warning sign kind of around the area where we're doing this. And it says like ordnance in use or something like that, like no shortwave radio. And so they're setting this all up, and the explosives guy like goes down into the sewer to like put the bomb down there. And just as he's doing that, these two police officers drive up in their car, and they think that the guys who are doing this look suspicious. And so they call it in on their shortwave radio, and it, inadvertently triggers the dynamite and blows the guy up down in the sewer. And it's really funny stuff.
Can I just say,
funny scene to you?
I didn't take any, apparently I didn't take any notes on this scene. I remember it happening, and I'm not doubting you that it happens here, but it's funny like how completely checked out I was at that point, and like had to kind of like reel myself back in and continue taking notes because I was just so like, I didn't come close to laughing by this point.
Oh, I did not laugh once in this entire movie. And like, yeah, I don't think I even smiled. Like, nothing in this movie made me feel any positive emotion for the entire time that I was watching it. And like, listen, I don't blame you. If this wasn't my recap, I would have started playing Balatro 20 minutes in, and I would have second screened it for like literally the entire movie. Like, I would have just like looked over every 30 seconds, like given myself enough to be like conversant about the film. So the fact that you still took 1,000 words of notes, even though you could have just basically shut up for the entire time I was doing this recap, is a testament to your commitment to your art.
Well,
I would not have been that committed.
Can I just say now Andrew's going to write in and correct you that it's pronounced Balatro.
There you go. Live show rules, please, Andrew.
Yeah,
make sure there's a question. Yeah, so that all happens. And so another goon is dead, and they have a funeral for this goon as well. And so a lot of people are dying. Bacala now, he knows that like, Sally's out for him. And so we cut to Bacala. He's at his office with Water Buffalo and with the other capos who work for him besides Palumbo. And they're having a meeting about how they're going to deal with all this stuff. And then there's like a guy, presumably one of Sally's goons, outside the window, and he like cuts a wire. This is presumably a power wire to Bacala's office, and the power cuts out for a minute, and the guy's electrocuted, and it's like never addressed again. Do you understand like what the point of that was? Did you even notice that?
I noticed it. I didn't take notes on this either. You know what? I'll let you know when I resume my notes. So this, I'm working off of a memory from 24 hours ago because it was just so unfunny. It wasn't for me. Like I didn't even want to comment on it. One of the comedic through lines of this film is the ineptitude of Kid Sal and his gang, but it just never, like, it doesn't work. There are no stakes. And it's not funny. So like, what is it? It's in this no man's land.
I don't care about any of these people except for Angela. Like, I like Angela. I want her to like be happy. But you can kind of tell narratively that nothing bad is going to happen to her because it's just like not that kind of movie. So there's no dramatic tension at all. Like, Angela's going to be fine, and she's the only relatable person in this entire story. So like, there's no tension. It's a incredible work of modern storytelling. Beautiful stuff. So now Mario, I don't really understand mechanically how this happened, but like, I also don't care. Somehow Mario did get the priest robes. So now this is the part where he starts going around town dressed as a priest. So now Mario is dressed in the priest garb, and he's trying to scam some guy out of money for this fictitious orphan who he's carrying around a picture of. And this guy who he's trying to scam out of the money, he knows Bacala, and he tells him like, hey,
Okay.
I know this guy Bacala, you know, like he'll give you some money, and he writes his like phone number and his address and his contact information on the back of the photo of the fictitious orphan, and he says, I'm going to get you a meeting with this guy and he's going to give you some money. I can tell a penny just dropped for you. Did I just like explain the plot of the movie to you in a way that you didn't realize while you were watching it?
This is where my notes resumed. So I'm like impressed that you took so much time to discuss something that like even I didn't bother including in my notes.
What do you mean? This is very important to the plot. Like,
Well, that's why I wrote it down in the notes. I didn't write the whole like wire cutting thing. It was just a bad gag.
sure, whatever. I wrote things down that I wanted to see if you understood.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I wanted to understand, you know, but like,
Gotcha.
clearly you didn't. So it doesn't matter. So the guy who he's trying to get money from says that he'll give him some money, like in addition to setting up the meeting that he's going to have with Bacala to get more money. And so the guy has filled a bunch of envelopes with $10 bills that he's going to mail himself to this supposed orphanage where the fictitious orphan lives, and he insists on mailing the envelopes himself, but Mario pushes to walk to the mailbox with him, and so they walk to the mailbox together, and the guy puts the envelopes in the mailbox, but Mario like helps open the mailbox for him to put the envelopes in, and then kind of keeps his hand in, and I think stops them from falling all the way down, and then after the guy walks away, he pulls the envelopes out, so he does manage to steal the money. So there you go. We're coming up to the most egregious lion abuse. So we're gonna start talking about.
Okay, this is the next thing that I took notes on. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So here we got a big lion scene. So the lion's not housebroken. It's pissing everywhere. It's really smelly. It's really upsetting Angela. It's upsetting all the mobsters. And so Sally opens the door to get a whiff of this whole situation, and he comes upstairs. And they take him to the car wash to get cleaned, and they actually put the lion through the car wash, yeah, it's pretty fucked up, honestly. I wrote, this seems like animal abuse, very funny stuff. I love slapstick comedy. And they're like, this scene is crazy. Like, it's like crazy they did this to an actual lion.
I have some things to say here because I started taking a lot of notes here. I said this lion, like earlier in my notes, I was joking because the lion was just kind of being walked back and forth. And I was just kind of joking to myself, like, oh, I wonder if this animal died during filming, because you hear like all those horror stories. But this was the point. But this was the point. This was the point in my notes where I followed up on that and I said, this lion might have actually died during filming. They're leading it through one of those, like, you know, think about like the sort of car wash you'll go through, like a small one, but it's like automatic.
This is not a touchless car wash. This is a touch car wash. The lion is being touched. Like, yeah.
And I wrote, the music is so wacky. They just abused an animal. And
it's not funny.
It's not funny. And one of the biggest like recurring jokes, if you can call it that, is just like the filmmakers seem to think that just like walking around with a lion is inherently funny, but it's not. And like, especially through the lens of us now, like we wouldn't do this to an animal filming a movie, but even back then, like there are no jokes to it. There are no punchlines to it. I wrote, after I watched the film, this is a great thing, by the way, for these older films. You can go back and read Roger Ebert's like old reviews that came out around the time that the film did. And I just want to share one little quote from that review. He says, quote, "It's funny when a mafia midget is dispatched to run Kid Sally's pet lion through a car wash. The idea is funny anyway," end quote. And I have to, language aside, it was 1971 when he wrote that review. I agree with him that, like, yeah, conceptually, animal abuse concerns aside, I think it could be funny. And he tries to punch it up in the review, and he proposes, like, wouldn't it be funnier visually if you set it in like whatever moves, automatically and had it go through the automatic car wash? Instead, the little person is just like walking it on a leash, and they're both getting washed by the car wash, and it's just weird and off-putting. It's not funny.
Makes you think. Yeah.
It makes you think about that poor animal scarred for life.
So I was really trying to figure this out, and I think that maybe I did. So come with me here.
Oh, boy.
So something that I think is probably difficult for us and other people in modern audiences to understand is just like what portion of the value of a film from this era was just seeing something interesting depicted on film. Like, it's like now seeing a lion in a movie is of absolutely no value to me at all, because like, you know, these days I can watch like hundreds of trillions of videos on YouTube, but like even 15 or 20 years ago, there were like nature TV channels that I could watch, and like you could rent a DVD of like just a documentary about lions. But like that didn't exist back in this period. And so I think like one way to like explain the existence of like these kinds of like seemingly completely vapid set pieces in films like this is like, I don't know, I bet you it would have been kind of cool to see a lion on film. Like, and like that was special back then in a way that it is totally unspecial now. So that is like one way I can explain this that like I think it like sort of makes sense. Do you find that compelling as an explanation? Because I too am trying to figure out like, well, who the fuck is this for? But like I think the audience was just like had a totally different vantage point on this kind of shit 50 years ago than we do now.
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation. I think that if it's in the novel, which I'm guessing it is, it probably plays better as like whatever satire of mob culture it's trying to be. In the movie, though, you're right. Like it probably, you know, the marketing execs probably hoped that it would be appealing in the trailer. You know, you see like mobster with a lion. Oh, what's that
pretty
about?
Cool.
That's so right, exactly.
It is a lion.
But you're right that like nowadays we can just go on YouTube and search for, you know, oddly satisfying lions being led through automatic car washes compilation and just watch that for hours at a time. we don't even need to load a film. I was waiting for you to finish your thing to say that.
Where's my lion going through a car wash ASMR video? Like
the sound of the poor lion screaming in agony as it's blasted with hot water.
I can't sleep unless I hear the low din of a high touch car wash and the like kind of the feverish kind of furtive groan of a lion. That for me, that's really what brings me to my happy, relaxed place at night. You know what we've been watching with Nora lately is these ASMR like tortoise mukbang videos. Have you ever seen these?
No, why the fuck would I have ever seen that?
They are incredible. They are incredible. So viewers, you know, we'll put a link to one in the show notes.
The fuck we will.
Let me describe it. Let me describe it for all of us. So there's a tortoise, and he's got you know, like 3 extremely high quality directional mics kind of affixed to his shell. And I mean, the production values are tremendous on these videos. And he's just on a table and he walks up and there's like 10 foods that tortoises like. There's like some lettuce and some broccoli and a few different fruits. And it's just like 15 minutes of him like very slowly in like 8K, like eating all the food, and you can hear every bite, and like, oh, it fucking rules. Like, but like that's the kind of thing I think about where like if somebody in 1971 could have seen a video like that, they would have lost their mind. Like that would be like the coolest thing imaginable. But now there's hundreds of thousands of hours of that type of content of every species on the planet on YouTube. So it's like it's become completely commodified. But the tortoise mukbang videos are great. They're really cool.
I want the citizens of De Niro Nation to write in at ourherodeniro@gmail.com and tell us if you think that tortoise video sounds like it's worth sitting down the whole family to watch, or if it sounds like the dumbest fucking thing you've ever heard of. Oddly satisfying tortoise chomps on
they can watch the actual video.
Oh my God.
We'll put the link to the video in the show notes. Watch the video and write in and tell us if you thought it was good. All right. So the lion stuff happens. Crazy stuff. So the lion's clean now. He's been car washed. And now they are bringing him with them to do collections, and they're using the lion as a threat to basically coerce their collections victims into giving them the money. So they go to a butcher, and from the butcher they get a bag of money for the collections, and they ask him to give them 10 pounds of steak to feed the lion. And they go back to the house and they throw the bag of steak down to the lion, but oops, they accidentally threw the bag of money down to the lion. And so the lion ate all the money. And it's a very funny joke. And now they just have 10 pounds of steak. I'm like, I don't know. Listen, I know a big bag of money obviously weighs more than you think it would. Like, that's one of the things about money is it's like it's heavier than you'd expect it to be. But like,
it'd feel different.
I don't know. Like, it would be thousands of dollars to weigh 10 pounds, wouldn't it? Tens of thousands of dollars to weigh 10 pounds, which would be millions of dollars in the 70s. There's no way they got 10 pounds of cash from this one collection. Like it's so absurd. Like no one would ever make this mistake. These bags would be like an order of magnitude difference in weight. No one could possibly mistake that. It's like, oh, I hate this movie so much.
Yeah, I
do you
didn't.
have
I
anything to
didn't
say
think.
about this?
No, I don't. I didn't have anything to say about the economics of how much cash they were collecting from these dumb fucking collections.
Ah, beautiful stuff. So now we're introducing a couple new characters. We cut to the mayor of New York with his wife. They're watching a news report on the TV about all this stuff that's happening between Sally and Bacala. And then we cut to a lunch between, I think, some New York, Brooklyn DA and some senior detective or like somebody with the police or something like that. And they're talking about how like this whole thing that's going on between Sally and Bacala is a big problem and they got to do something about it. So we cut to the next scene. The cops and the DA are at Palumbo's house. They're interrogating everybody. Angela is also being interrogated, but she won't talk. The newspapers are outside waiting to interview Angela. And there's this fixation that everybody seems to have in a way that I found like really fascinating in the context of just like everything that's happening politically right now. They remark a lot about how she's very pretty and she's a student, which could be like a good angle for the media. And they might be able to find a way to make a connection between some violent student protests that have been happening, presumably to do with the Vietnam War, and this mob crime that's happening. And it's just interesting, like kind of its time, like social commentary that I don't really understand.
All I wrote here, I wrote police interrogating Melissa about Sal. And then underneath I wrote, wait, her name is Angela? Why did I think it was Melissa? What?
You ever met an Italian lady named Melissa?
I don't know. I think Italian women can be named anything these days. I don't know how it was in the early 70s. Why did I think it was? I don't know. Man. I don't know.
I don't think that family, I don't think that first generation family was naming their daughter Melissa. I don't think so. Like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but sure. I'm Italian. So are you. But, I consider myself, I think, probably much more culturally Italian than you consider yourself.
Oh, yeah.
There's nobody in my family named Melissa. There you go.
You have the very Italian name of Michael.
Yep. So do you. Michael is a very Italian name, just so you know.
Oh, is it?
So she runs out. She passes by the press folks who are waiting to try to accost her. And she runs over to Mario's apartment, and it's pouring rain. When she gets into his apartment, she's drenched from running through the rain. She undresses and puts on a robe. And she and Mario embrace. They make out. They copulate. And afterward, she looks in his fridge and it's empty. And she's like, hey, don't you have any food around here? And she tells him to get dressed because they're going to leave the house. They're going to go over to her place and they are going to get something to eat.
I appreciate that De Niro's shirt was popped off in that scene when she shows up at his apartment, uninvited.
Yeah, you love popping your shirt off.
I do love popping my shirt off. But, I'm sure I will when it gets hotter out because this place does not have central air.
So they go over to the house and Sally's there, the grandmother's there, all of Sally's goons are there and they're all getting ready to eat dinner. And there's quite an altercation between Sally and the gangsters.
Oh yeah, that's
Mario,
putting it lightly.
That I really didn't understand, honestly. Like it seemed like, I guess it was just like them being upset that he was with Angela. So you get a little fun misogyny, like culturally backward misogyny here as well.
They found out that De Niro's a fake priest.
So
he stole Bacala's money.
Yeah, but they don't care about Bacala. They're against Bacala. You're not understanding what happened in this scene well. Yeah.
You're right. Okay, hold on.
It was just misogyny. Yeah, because right before they start threatening to cut his fingers off with the knife, Sally grabs his hands and he's like, "You touched my sister with this hand, didn't you?" Or like something to that effect.
Okay, maybe it is. Okay, because I wrote, Goon tells Sal that De Niro is a fake priest. So I guess my interpretation was that they don't like, Sal doesn't like the idea of De Niro pretending to be a priest to fuck his sister. Is that not it? They were gonna cut his dick off.
Yes, but the context of them finding out that he's like faking being a priest is that they're going to use him as a way to get to Bacala.
That's what they decide after. They were about, I'm not exaggerating, audience, they were about to chop his dick off. They were going to pull it out and chop it off, and then they decide to use De Niro to meet Bacala so they can shoot Bacala at the meeting.
Sure. Whichever one of us is right, I don't think it matters one way or another because
no, not at all.
Good either way. So sure, something happens here, but like that is what happens in the scene. So they're going to do physical harm to him, and then when they realize that they can use his ongoing impersonation of a priest as a way to get to Bacala, they're all buddy and they're feeding him, and he's like friends with all of them. They're like feeding him nice wine, and yeah, there you go. So that's what happens. So Mario goes to meet with Bacala, and there are some of Sally's goons who like walk into the bar like while Mario is sitting in the back part of the restaurant having his meeting with Bacala, where he's going to ask him for money. Sally and more of his goons roll up in a fish truck. They have a gun. It's like a small caliber revolver. And Sally's trying to put the bullets in. This is like the best like dumb Sally moment in the movie. Sally's trying to put the bullets into the chamber of the gun, but they don't fit. And so his response to that as a professional mobster who presumably has killed people before is to force them in instead of realizing that they are obviously not the right size bullets for this gun. So I think you can guess what's going to happen here in this scene. Really compelling stuff. This is a fun scene here. Here we get our. This is the only scene in this film where a white person says the N-word. There's a black lady. I think she's a meter maid, right? And she's ticketing them for the way they've parked the fish truck, and they call her the N-word. So there you go. It happens. It's very common in movies of this day, movies from the early 70s. Sally runs in after his altercation with the meter maid, and he tries to shoot Bacala with his gun, but the gun misfires due to the misfitted bullets, and it explodes. And I don't think it hurts Sally enough, honestly. Like that's like was kind of my reaction to this. Like it's like the gun like explodes in his hand, and then when he pulls his hand away, there's just like a little like burn.
Yeah.
Like it's like he like pressed his hand on the stove for like a tenth of a second. It's like, I don't know, man. I think if a gun explodes in your hand, like I think you might lose a finger. Like I think you're gonna have a lot more than like a little burn like on your skin. What did you think about that?
No, I agree with you. At first I thought maybe he lost his thumb, but he didn't seem that
like
hurt.
You at least a finger you'd expect.
Bacala's totally fine though.
Yeah, so Bacala's totally fine. He's not hurt at all. And he's actually like he's very happy about what's happened. I think he sees this as like a sign from God that he's been spared. But it was really just Sally's incredible stupidity putting the wrong size bullets into this gun. So
God works in mysterious ways.
Oh, he really does. That's the thing about him. He's so mysterious. So they kidnap. I wrote some old dude. Was this Water Buffalo? It was, right?
I just wrote kidnapped guy.
Yeah, I think it was Water Buffalo. We're just going to say it was, even though I'm not 100% sure. I didn't put that together while I was watching. I was really checked out. We're in the last 10 minutes of the movie now. They kidnap Water Buffalo. They put him in with the lion. But before anything can happen between Water Buffalo and the lion, he has a heart attack. Water Buffalo does, and he dies. So there you go. He's dead now. And it seems like now... oh, no, I know what happened. I didn't erase my notes here. So then they take Water Buffalo over to a bridge to throw him off the bridge. And they throw him at the like most inopportune time. And just as he is about to hit the water, a boat passes below. And so he hits the boat and his body is discovered immediately. And it's on the news. These guys are, maybe wouldn't you look down? Like, I mean, I guess not, right? We're dealing with very, very inept people who like didn't check to see whether there was anything down there before they threw a human corpse off of a bridge.
Verrazano Bridge.
So there's a cut to a scene with Angela in bed with Mario, and they're talking about the priest clothes, and she's like, hey, you're just doing this stuff to make money, and he says, no, I'm actually doing this stuff so I can stay in America. And I don't understand that line. Whatever. So the news broadcast where it's announced that the body fell on the boat is being watched by the mayor's wife. And so now there's like a lot of attention on this. Like it's gotten to be like a big thing. So Mario and Angela separate. The cops arrest Mario at the same time as another set of cops are doing a raid at Sally's. They put on gas masks. They do a raid on the storefront where they hang out. Mario is taken to speak with the DA, and they convince him to testify to a grand jury about what's happened. And in particular, they want him to testify to something about Angela's involvement because of the connection they're trying to make between like her, these like violent counterculture student protests, and what's going on with the mob folks. But as soon as he's like impaneled, he comes in and he pretends not to speak English. So he won't incriminate Angela, and they deport him. So he gets deported. Angela goes to the airport to try to catch him before his flight. She doesn't get to talk to him, but she gets to the observation deck just in time to watch him board the plane. She walks home. She goes down to the storefront that Sally worked in and lets out the lion. The lion has gigantic balls, and that's basically the end of the movie. There's one more scene that I'll talk about, but there you go. That's the end of the story.
She hates to watch him go, but loves watching him leave.
Are you kidding me? With I don't know. I mean, I feel bad for the lion. You know, the horrible things that happened to him in this.
I meant De Niro
stuff, but
not the lion's ass.
Oh, I thought you were talking about her wanting to look at the lion's balls as he walked away.
It's like double dutch. I'm trying to like jump in, you know? Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. I'm trying to choose my battles.
Sure. Go ahead. You want to say your thing that you were going to say?
No, I just said the thing. That was the thing. It's about De Niro getting on the plane.
Very funny. So
funnier than this fucking movie.
Position. Right? There's more news position.
Oh my God.
It's Bacala. He's watching a news broadcast. They're talking about Mario. He's deported. They're talking about the lion having been released. Sally and all of his goons were sentenced to a year in jail each. And Bacala's wife goes down. She turns the car on. It doesn't explode. But then for some reason, when he comes outside and gets in, it does explode. So there you go. That's the end of the movie. Roll credits.
Great.
So what did you think of this movie?
Okay, let's go. Let's say the segment name. We're going into our ratings here. Final ratings. Out of 5, I'm giving... This is going to be a low one. This is a real stinker of a film. And spoiler alert, I didn't come close to laughing at all throughout the entire movie. So you have a film that tonally it's like a slapstick comedy, but it's not funny. It's a mafia film, but there are no stakes. There's no sense of danger. The protagonist is really unlikable and generally unwatchable. And so I was just watching it going like, it's, you know, I'm trying to think about what's good about it. De Niro was good in it, honestly. He kind of held the thing together as that kleptomaniac, fake priest, bicyclist from Italy. But beyond that, it's pretty light watching. You know, I did enjoy quite a bit seeing Brooklyn, like shot on location from that era, like places that I'd been to. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I think the best thing about it, honestly, is probably the romance between De Niro and Angela, which was surprising to me because it was so hard for me to suspend my disbelief that anyone would want to fall for this incredibly weird guy. But I think that actually like worked better than the lion stuff or any of the other gags that you described. So I think it's just a bad movie. I can see why it was forgotten by time. I'm giving it a 1.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm also giving it 1.5 out of 5. I don't really know what to say. I feel like you said like everything there is to say about it. Like, yeah, it fails at everything that it tries to do, and it's like totally pointless. And I don't understand what they were thinking. Something funny about this that we didn't say, I don't know if you caught this when you were reading the Wikipedia article, but they actually, they almost got Coppola to direct this movie. He wanted to, but the production folks, like the producers, didn't think that he had it in him to make a Bob movie. And then Al Pacino was wanted to be in the film, I think probably to play the Sally role. But he went to do The Godfather with Francis Ford Coppola, the greatest mob movie of all time. And I find it so funny that we could have had like, you know, Coppola's made a lot of bad stuff in the past 20 years, but one of the greatest directors who ever lived, like they like didn't think that he could do this mob movie because he'd never made one before, and then like he just like went off and made like the best mob movie ever that's like actually good. Just a few years after this was released. It's good stuff.
It is good. Before we go to our next segment, I want to share, just to close out the ratings, one more quote from Roger Ebert's review from 1971. He said, quote, "The performances are too broad, the characters are too many, the plot is too indifferent to the structure of the movie, and surprisingly, the movie is too sweet," end quote. And I feel like he really summed it up quite perfectly with that sentence.
Yeah, it's crazy he gave it 2 stars, by the way.
2 out of 4, the Ebert scale.
Right, because that's like, it would be like us giving it 2.5, exactly. Like, so
right.
Not only is that a higher rating relative to the range than what we gave, but it's also higher in absolute terms, and he's also like a better film critic than us. But like he still gave this a better score, like, I don't know, maybe to our earlier discussion in the cultural context, like contemporaneously with when it came out, like maybe there's a little bit more to like because at least like some of the jokes make sense to you in a way that they like do not to us. And maybe you would, if you were Roger Ebert in the early 1970s, maybe you would like seeing a lion on film because of the discussion we had earlier. And I think that novelty is just like totally lost on us in this modern era. So yeah, let's move on to the next segment. It's mail time, right?
No, it's not. How do you not remember the segments? Recommendations.
Oh, recommendations. Yeah, we do have to do recommendations.
You're turning away from the microphone too. God damn. Yeah, I want to go first because I'm ready because I remembered that it was the recommendation section. I'm sticking to the year 1971, and I am going to share one of my favorite films that I've watched in recent years. I didn't watch it until last year, and I don't know why I forgot to rate it on Letterboxd, but this is very easily a 4.5 or 5 star film. I am recommending the 1971 American neo-noir film, The French Connection, starring Gene Hackman.
I gotta watch that. Yeah, that's the top of my list.
So great. I mean, obviously very tonally different from this film, but I think that is a good thing. And it is basically this neo-noir detective story about detectives Popeye Doyle and Cloudy Rousseau pursuing this French heroin smuggler. And it's awesome because Gene Hackman plays a total asshole. Like, he's a really good cop, but he's just so hard-boiled, so mean, racist, like a totally contemptible guy. But, it's so great watching him actually, pursue this case and try to take down the heroin smuggler. And it features one of the greatest car chases in cinematic history. So I highly recommend it. Oh, really great example of early 1970s cinema. What about you, Mike? What do you recommend?
I have another example of great early 1970s cinema, and I went with a film that you actually recommended to me for a different reason than what you just recommended. I'm going to recommend The Taking of Pelham 123.
Wow. I thought about recommending that, but it was 1973. Yep. That's the only thing that stopped me.
So it's actually 74, just so you know. I know because I watched it last year when I was watching all the movies from 1974.
Close enough.
To celebrate the 50th anniversary of 1974, remember? And anyway, yeah, I don't want to say too much about like what this movie is about. I just think it shares a lot of DNA with this film, not from a tonal perspective, but in like every other way, right? Like it also depicts a very practical, very gritty, very dirty and disgusting New York City. It also depicts criminals, but it depicts all of this with so many higher stakes, a tone that is so much more internally coherent and consistent, and tells a story that is broadly very successful. And so I think if you want to watch a dirty, early to mid 1970s New York City movie about bad people doing bad stuff, in a way that you'll actually find emotionally compelling, I would recommend The Taking of Pelham 123, and it was a Mike Back At You recommendation to me last year that I really enjoyed watching.
Yeah, let me just say about that film that we're talking about the original, of course, and not the remake with John Travolta. But
1974. Yep.
I watched it for the first time last year, and I have I keep a list on Letterboxd each year, just ranking every film that I watched for the first time. And I ultimately decided that film was my favorite film that I watched in 2024, and I watched something like 200 films for the first time.
There you go. A couple great recommendations. I can't wait to watch The French Connection. I will watch it, sometime over the next few weeks. And maybe we can take a minute and I'll talk about it. Talk about what I thought of The French Connection when I saw it for the first time as a companion piece to The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight.
And now it's time for letters.
Let's read some letters. Mailbag.
Okay. Yeah, we have one letter.
Do we have more than one letter today?
I just said we have one letter.
All right.
we only have one letter.
At the same time that I was asking my question.
Okay. Well, we have one letter from friend of the podcast, Caroline, who is notable not only for being Mike's wife, but for creating the wonderful podcast artwork that we have. She writes, "Dear dudes, in your Godsend episode, you accidentally created a portmanteau of the names Coral and Nora, Norral. This made me wonder, how would you rank the names of Robert De Niro's children from least favorite to most favorite? Follow-up question, can you name all 7 without Googling? Sincerely, pithy question asker." Before you say anything, Mike, let me just say, I think, so he has 7 kids, and I don't think we should take the time to rank them, but maybe just say, most or least favorite names. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to tell you right now that I can't even think of a single one of them.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I didn't know he had 7 kids. I didn't know the names of any of his kids. I have the names ready because I did Google it. Are you ready to hear these?
Well, lay it on me.
Okay, from oldest to youngest, we have Drenna, 53, Raphael, 48, Julian, 29, Aaron, Aaron, 29, Elliot with 2 L's, 27, Helen Grace, 13, and Gia Virginia, 1.
Sure. I'm going to go with Raphael at the top and Drenna at the bottom.
What is it with you and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle names? Why do you love them
Raphael's
so much?
A great name. What do you mean? It's not about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's about the Renaissance, Enlightenment thinkers after whom they're named. What do you mean? It doesn't have to be about Ninja Turtles.
You really
Leonardo,
go for the ethnic names.
Da Vinci?
Yeah.
Very cool guy. I mean, come on. Trying to think if I've ever even known of a Leonardo in the modern day.
No, I guess not.
Leo, right?
Well,
people named Leo.
The Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, like Leonardo DiCaprio, I guess his name's Leonardo. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he's 55 now, too. There are no young
Leos.
Leos.
He's not young. Yeah. Well, we have a son. I'll name him Leonardo. So
I know you will, man. Very Mutant Ninja Turtles coded.
Why don't you give me your ranking? We've heard that Raphael's number 1. What's your number 7?
Number 7, probably Helen Grace. It's just it just sounds like such a basic white girl going to a mega church kind of name.
She's the one who's 1, right? The one that was just 1
She's
last
13.
year.
The one that's 1 is Gia Virginia.
Gia Virginia. Okay, I was gonna say he's getting lazy in his old age, but I think Gia Virginia is a much more interesting name than Ellen Grace.
I agree.
Yeah, sure. Well, what a segment it was. Great letter, Caroline. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the letter, Caroline.
Your engagement with the pod. Yep.
You see, our bullying of the citizens of De Niro Nation, it worked. It's working. We're seeing the progress.
Sure. So now it's time for our final segment, the roll.
Okay, I'm excited to do this. It's my turn to roll this week. Now that we've established what segment it is, and we got an early era De Niro film this time, and I don't really know what I want. It'd be nice to get a better film. I don't really care what era it's from. Give me something a little better.
Sure.
Doesn't have to be great. Just something good. You ready for this?
Why don't you tell me what would be your number 1 pick that we could get right now? What would be your favorite movie on the list that we could roll?
There are 90 films to consider. I'm definitely not going to be that specific, but I would say it'd be nice to get a better film from his early era, one that I haven't seen before. I just want something fresh that is a little higher in quality than this film was. Why? Do you have something specific in mind?
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the list and I'm thinking, I think that I would be happiest if we got Ronin.
No. Don't want it. Don't fucking want it this early.
Too good?
We are. It's way too good. It's one of my favorite films of all time. We are 15 weeks into this podcast? We're going to be doing this for more than 100 weeks. You want to blow your Ronin load this early?
I don't think Ronin is in the top 5.
I
think that it's in
care
the top
what you
20.
think.
And so I think that now that we are, now that we're 15% of the way through the podcast or almost thereabouts, I think we can roll one of the best.
Ronin is a 5-star film, and I want a top 50. I do not want a top 20. Okay,
top 50. Okay, so we're not going top 20. We're going
just top
50.
half. If I roll Ronin, I'm going to be so pissed now. Okay, I'm rolling.
God, I really hope
right now.
Yep.
I rolled 46. Wow. Okay, this is 1996's Marvin's Room, directed by Dr. Wally. Nope, never mind. Hold on, let me reintroduce this. I rolled 40. I rolled 46, which is the film Marvin's Room from 1996. It was his role that he did right before Copland. It's directed by Jerry Zaks with a Z. So this film, it is a drama film. A lot of bullshit in the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Looks like it got some awards and such. Oh my goodness. Starring Meryl
It
Streep.
does seem like a top 50 though.
Speaking of Leonardo's, Leonardo DiCaprio, Diane Keaton, Robert De Niro.
Yep.
That's why I said what I said. Pretty modest though, $23 million budget and only made $30 million at the box office. So you know what? I think this is exciting. We'll get to see a young Leo DiCaprio. I think this will be fun. Hopefully. I'm really hoping it is. 50.
It's got an 84 on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's great. I never use Rotten Tomatoes, by the way. I think Rotten Tomatoes kind of blows. I'm more of a Metacritic guy.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that for things that are old, I think that Rotten Tomatoes is a better thing to look at really quickly. Because I feel like when you're looking at a set of reviews that were written, when did this come out? 1996, so almost 30 years ago. I don't know. I just feel like it's more valuable to know how many people had a good thing to say about it than to try to like correlate our modern sensibilities to like people putting stuff on a 10-point rating scale. I don't know. I'm more interested in Rotten Tomatoes when it's like more than 15 years old, basically.
Well, let's, what you wanna talk us out?
Sure. So there you go. What a special episode it was today. Just such an honor to be here with you and discussing what has very quickly become one of my least favorite movies I've ever seen. So we're really expanding our horizons here. This is an instant bottom 50 for me of all the films I've ever seen in my life. So that's always fun. So thanks for joining us this week, everybody. We hope you'll come back next week. Just want to give a special thanks to Caroline, aka Bad Cree, for drawing our beautiful podcast art and writing a wonderful letter that adhered to live show rules today. That was great. And I would like to thank you, Mike, for being my podcast co-host. And of course, I'd like to thank Robert De Niro for making so many wonderful films. And next week, we will be watching Marvin's Room, starring Robert De Niro. Looking forward to chatting with you guys next week.
Is the conclusion stuff, is that, I thought it was like a constant thing, like mentioning our letterboxds, the email, rating us.
I forget
you never do any of that. I was just watching and waiting, and you were just saying you were thanking Robert De Niro, and I was like, when is he going to mention any of the shit that we mentioned at the conclusion of? We're 15 episodes in, by the way.
You can you can follow us on Letterboxd. I'm Mike the Fab, and Mike is Mike back at you. And you can email us at ourherodeniro@gmail.com. Hope you will. Hope you'll watch the tortoise ASMR mukbang video that we're going to link in the show notes, and you'll let us know.
Yeah.
If you thought it was a good use of 15 minutes of your time.
Great. Nailed it.
Andrew will watch it at 2x speed, of course. Yeah.
Good job. Really nailed that conclusion. Thanks, everyone.
It's an incredible ending.